Just fucking do it. Subscribe now. Now, human resource, in my opinion, in most companies, is a waste of time. But human resource, or the person in charge of human resource, one of the companies, most recently, a few years ago, we brought out of retirement an old battle axe. I mean, she wasn't the first human resource director, but I mean, she was tough as fucking nails. You know, whereas normally the human resource is employee prone. This old hag certainly wasn't. She was most are employee prone. This was employer prone. And you want people to be employer prone, because that's you. You want documents written that are major shareholder friendly, because that's you. And we're not buying any union occupied companies until we get real, real big. So don't worry about that. Yes, sir.
With all the legal battles with the board of directors in the past, what would you say you did right in order to increase your chances of always winning in court against them?
It's the documents, the employment agreements they sign. When you incorporate a company from scratch, everything is from scratch. And the lawyers will have produced documents that are employer friendly, major shareholder friendly. You will have no problem getting rid of these fucking lackluster pieces of shit. None. And litigation is a business tool. And when the motivated seller says, oh, I'm only concerned about that you take care of my employees, that's such a fucking lie. I've heard that that's a fucking lie. Like, I won't come in your mouth, honey. What a fucking lie. But in some handbook or some fucking pussy cunt book somebody wrote, you're supposed to say, I want you to take care of my employees. That's horse shit. This is easy peasy, guys. Okay, yeah.
In terms of the industry experts, considering that if, say, it starts with the death roll-ups and then it expands into hospitals or other, is it at the very beginning that we take on different industry experts, or is it eventually as we progress into
No, I mean, you're asking the wrong questions. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'll put it to you that way. You're going to fuck things up, especially you, because you're a kid. You will trip on your dick 40, 50, 60, 100 times the first month. I don't care if you have Ben Carson as your chairman. Because you can't turn to Ben and ask him every fucking thing. Do I take a shit now? Do I wipe my... You can't, Otherwise, you make him an executive chairman, which he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to be that, if not for no other reason, liability. You're going to have to grow a pair, or you're going to fail. And as Gabriel said, he's made mistakes. That was more or less an understatement in this particular case. But this is not perfection. It's nowhere near even close to perfection. And for those of you that have managed some little chicken shit deals that you've got now, it's worse. I would rather have a clean slate. Tabula rasa, as Descartes said. But even Babson back here has been trying to finger fuck with this thing. I mean, I'd rather have a clean slate. And even those of you that have never had their own business but work for big companies, you've seen how they've done it wrong. But you didn't know it was wrong. It might not have felt right or tasted right, but it was wrong. And now they're erring on, back in Andrew Carnegie's day, Henry Ford the first day, back in the good old days, where they killed employees, beat union guys. I mean, I should have lived then. I should have fucking lived. It was too far that way, but now we've gone too far the other way. I mean, our daughter said, Dad, if I fucked a donkey in the lobby and the chairman and the CEO were there, I still wouldn't get fired. And if you're black, I mean, you can set the building on fire, shoot the fucking CFO in the head, and still not get fired. And that ain't right. That's not right. But it happens to be where we are. And it fits our model. And when we talk about diversity and all that shit, you should have a woman on the board and you should have somebody of color. Now, strangely enough, I fit the minority. I'm a Mexican. I fit, the minority, although I'm a blue-eyed. So, I'll find a real minority. And you should have geographic distribution in your board. You live in Atlanta. When we talk about the hub and spoke method of management, that you don't buy anything that's more than 2 hours drive away, so you can get there, manage it, and get home in 4 hours. 2 hours there and 2 hours back. It doesn't work out that way. And then, of course, you have regional managers, satellites, and I'm getting way ahead of myself. But the first acquisition, so you would think you want your board 2 hours away. That is, you're not going to be able, and partially because there's tens of thousands of kids in Europe and tens of thousands of kids practicing QLA, not under my auspices, but because they've got all the information free on the website. And there, so you may have directors in Seattle, Boston, Atlanta, South Carolina, San Diego. And when they come to the first board meetings, they come on their own nickel. You're not paying for their travel, their expenses, fuck all. And no salary. Yes, sir.
Do you recommend us as a beginning for the board to hire per se in our same state, or to just to hire the chairman, CEO from our same state, as in?
No, you want the best. Doesn't matter where the fuck they are. Because a lot of the management in the beginning of the QLA model is virtual. And because of another favor Corona did for us is people are used to Zoom virtual meetings. Some of the boards I sit on, we only have one real live meeting in person a year. And we have 2 or 3 other board meetings via Zoom. And then you make that board meeting convenient for you. And they all fly in, they get their own rooms and shit. You pay for dinner, pay for cocktails, and one dinner. That's it. And you won't be, and you're there. Well, I'll explain that to you. But you're not going to have any money. You're going to have to save your pennies, like the shaman monk did. Maybe I don't think you're going to have to go out and work on a fucking boat thing for 2 summers to save up for the dinner. But that's the only thing you pay for in the beginning. And the room, and you're not going to have the board meetings at the hotel. You're going to have them either at your accounting office or law office. And they'll be glad to do it for you for nothing. And they'll put on a spread for you. When I was first doing this, I used to wrap sandwiches and chicken hors d'oeuvres in napkins and put them in my pockets because I had no fucking money. I was living at the fucking bus depot. The motherfucking Greyhound bus depot. First meetings I had. And if somebody bumped into me, they'd squeeze the mayonnaise out of the small little finger sandwich and fuck up my suit. In those days, I didn't have the $18 to clean a suit. You guys got it, as Sally would say, you got it the lap of motherfucking luxury compared. No scripts, no nothing. Used to practice my sales pitch on the elevators up to the 56th floor, and I'd cold call every business in that building, from 56 floors down to the ground floor. Most of the people that were cold calling, and this is Manhattan, were abusing the first 2 or 3 floors. They didn't go up to the 55th fucking floor like I used to. So I used to have some virgin material up there because you were too fucking lazy to go up to the 55th floor. But the system works. Okay, so now you got the chairman, the CEO, the CFO, and they've taught you, or not taught you, excuse me, they've allowed you through their contacts, their Rolodex, which I know you don't use anymore, the industry experts. Now, fast forward 3 years, fast forward 2 years, you've done 15 deals successfully. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt. Now they lift their skirt up the board and show, as they would say in this country, they show you their bollocks. They show you, and you'll never have to cold call again. Because these guys and gals know everybody you need to know. But and I don't blame them, they are not showing you their contacts or Rolodex. Now they don't have Rolodex. Whatever the equivalent of a Rolodex is now, they are not showing you that until you prove yourself to them. For some of you, it'll be 2-3 deals. For some of you, it'll be 8 deals. And for some of you, it'll be 15 deals. And for some of you, no deals. Because they'll never have confidence in you for whatever reason. Because you didn't go to the right school, you don't speak English properly, you don't speak whatever language properly, the King's English or whatever the fuck. And it's not your job to convince them. If you can't show them through execution and implementation, that says volume about both of you, the board member and you. But you can't change that. But remember, boards are in transition. Now, even though Josh went through 25 in 3 years, I mean, and I went through, I had the same board forever. One guy died. They're in transition. The board that's good for a $10 million deal is not good for a $100 million deal. The $100 million board is not good for $1 billion. You know, the board members, they know they're not there forever. They're there to make $5 or $10 million and then exit. They don't tell you that. But they want to go back to bouncing their grandkids on their knee, or go back to playing golf, or go back to playing tennis. But they're there to supplement their lacking retirement funds now. That's the only reason they're there. That's the only reason. So don't be concerned that your board moves around, meaning members of the board move around. Okay, now any questions so far on the board? We're going to go over it 2 more times in the week because questions will pop up. And because your retention is piss poor because you're closer to an idiot than an Einstein. You know, when the gurus, and some of them are still around, when 31 years ago, when I decided to do this, and I went around and I paid to go to seminars, and that's how I met Bruce Whipple at a J. Abraham seminar that we both paid $5,000 to go. I went to everybody's seminar, not everybody, all the big guys, some of which are still around. And my private investigators did their due diligence on these guys. And I'm not going to embarrass them by using their name. But in 1992, 93, and 94, some of the gurus that are still around lived in mobile homes. They live with their mother. And they're giving you advice at that time, $2,500, $3,500, $5,000 a pop, to how to get rich. I mean, I almost shit myself when I used to get the pictures back from my PIs, private investigators, of where so-and-so lived. And I was going to do a big expose for Esquire magazine. And my lawyer said I'd be tied up in court for 50 years. Like a docu-series where, you know. And I wasn't going to talk about their mistresses and all that kind of shit, you know. And that one of them was a pedophile, still is a pedophile today. I was just going to say that why would you pay this guy $5,000 for a day and he lives in a fucking mobile home? Why would you pay this guy $5,000 a day to go to one of his seminars when he lives with his mother? And I had pictures, it was great, but I decided not to do that. I decided to, 2 things. Number one, there was no competition. And number three, even though I love litigation, I wasn't going to be tied up in court because I wanted to raise $1 trillion through you. And I thought it'd take me 5 to 7 years. It took me 24 years. And to coin one of their phrases, I still remember sitting down at the Hilton Hotel in New York, Los Angeles, one of the big names. And he said, Dan, why are you doing this? When we grow up, we want to be rich like you. I still remember that. And I thought they were lying to me. I thought they were trying to keep me out of the business. But there's no money in it. It's $1 billion industry, $1 going around to 1 billion people. There's no fucking money. I'm the only one that's got any fucking money. Then and now. Why doesn't anybody talk about numbers? Because there aren't any from them. At least half of you are devotees of some of these assholes. I pity you. How fucking stupid. You don't look that stupid. But apparently you are. It's a fucking joke. But anyway, they were telling me the truth. I wish I had listened to them, because I would have never gone in this industry. Never! So thank this fucking industry, because you're all stupid. Because you'd rather be liked than effective. Even Mr. Old Curmudgeon here. That's a sad fucking commentary. God. Okay, any questions about the board? Yeah.
Is it worthwhile to seek out a PI to investigate?
No. Now the internet is, when you get the big lawyers, they have a service called LexisNexis, which is the best clandestine, fucking CIA uses it. It's very, very expensive, but the big law firms and the big accounting firms have it. But I had my own LexisNexis and the two gals. That both of them were just vindictive cunts, you know. But now, I mean, the two names that you mentioned, put name and then say lawsuit. Type it into Google. Oh, no. Put in their name and put pedophile. Put in their name and put jail time. Put in their name and put, there's about 10 or 12 keywords. You will be astounded. But there are pedophiles teaching personal development today. At least a third of you have been to their gigs. Now, the father of personal development, W. Clement Stone, owned a company called Insurance, Combined Insurance. And in the early 50s, he was looking for insurance products or additional insurance products to cover up selling whole life insurance. Whole life insurance is where you pay big premiums and they sucker you into believing that it's going to be part of your savings program, your retirement program, and yet the first 2 or 3 years, most of the premium goes to the commission sales. In the early 50s, W. Clement Stone, which was a rich guy, a friend of Nixon and Eisenhower and those presidents, he was trying to come up with a new concept to sell whole life insurance. He had 10,000 salesmen at the time, 10,000 whole life insurance salesmen. And he called the Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill had already been bankrupt 2 or 3 times. Napoleon Hill left his first wife when their first son was born with no ears. Napoleon Hill had served time for rape. All kind of shit. And if you type in Napoleon Hill fraud, 40 pages comes up. So he calls Napoleon Hill, and Napoleon says, yeah, and he's destitute, basically. And he said that he came to Chicago, where W. Clement Stone lived, and they spent 2 or 3 days trying to brainstorm. Now, I talked to W. Clement Stone personally, and he's telling me on the phone, he was 98 or 99, by the time I got a hold of him, in age. And he said that I'm not sure if Napoleon or I came up with the idea, personal development, the concept. You can't measure it. And that's how PD was invented. You can't measure it. It's not quantifiable. And what gets measured gets accomplished. Then I'm on my way up to Chicago to have dinner with him. I would have dinner with. He dies. His house burned down in Chicago. It broke his heart, and he died of old age. He was about 100. But I heard with this fucking ear. This fucking ear, it was a scam. Several $1 billion later, personal development is an industry. And Tony, the guys that were around 30 years ago, said it's a scam. Personal development is a scam. But I used to be categorized, unfortunately. I didn't understand that in the beginning. So they used to categorize me as a PD guy, but I'm not a PD guy. Some people used to classify me as a motivational guy, but I'm not a motivational guy. And now there's thousands of PD speakers, tens of thousands. I don't know about millions, but it's all a scam, of which you have fallen into that Venus flytrap, unfortunately. Many of you, not all of you. It's amusing to me. But the more I'm into the industry, and I've made more money than by factors of hundreds or thousands or millions than the other guys. But that's not what you want. See, you want them to tell you it's easy, and all of them tell you it's easy. And you want them to tell you it's doable. And for somebody in this room, it's not doable. For some of you in this room, if motherfucking Christ himself gave you support, you can't do it. You will never dig yourself out of that hole of lack of self-esteem that your parents put you, or the orphanage put you, or whoever the fuck put you. And I'd be a hypocrite if I told you any different. Not going to happen. Yeah.
I actually want to share that I was one of those stupid individuals who didn't listen to what you said about these gurus. Mm-hmm. And I actually went to an LA convention center called Super Success Resource with guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, Ty Lopez, and JT Fox, and another more. And I saw with my two eyes the fucking...
Your two wives?
My two eyes.
Oh. I was going to say, well, I want to take my hat off you. If you went there with your two wives, I got to have more respect for you. Okay, go ahead.
That I saw the stupidity of people giving fucking money to these guys, and they would literally just be hypnotized with some dude talking about how much money they can make, and they would just run like chickens with their heads cut off to the back and sign paper and give them their credit card. And I did my research after, and the Super Success company actually went bankrupt, and a lot of people got like $10,000 up to more just completely stolen from them. And I said, well, who the fuck out there is actually, who knows something? How can you actually find someone who knows what they actually stand for? And I think you're the only one out there.
Well, I am, but I'm an overnight success at 50 years. But the point is that from the very beginning, I told you it was impossible, but you can get it done. It's not probable, and that's been my sales pitch for 30 years. It hasn't varied one iota. Most will not make it, but by make it, I mean generational wealth. You know, we've got, like flies on shit, we have tens of thousands that have made $5 million. Tens of thousands. And we have at least 1 million millionaires, which is $1 trillion. We've really got 3 or 4 million. And those are the only ones that report to me. Bruce the Whipple, God rest his soul, not so that he's dead, He just turned 70, so I told him that he's closer to death than he was before. Says the pontificators and the mathematicians say that I've reached 10 million people, more or less. And anybody that's tried the system, even some of you are going to try it half-assed, you're going to make $1 million by accident. I don't count that money. You know, we had a couple from Norway. Last seminar, a husband and wife. They sold their house to come here. They drove in their 22-year-old car to come here. He sat there and she sat there. When I talk about backup plans or the lack thereof, and they weren't sure their car could make it back to Norway. We have no backup plan, Mr. Peña. It's this or death. They'll succeed. When you have no backup plan, it's amazing what you can do. Okay, YouTube, go fuck yourself.